Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome again to the 1860 Club. Today, a big privilege to have life member of the club, member of the 1860 Club, Jon Hyde. Welcome.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Well, it's a pleasure for me too, that's for sure.
Well, just as by way of an introduction to 1860 members who may not know you, Jon, you're probably responsible for more runs than just about anyone else in the club over a long period, with the number of players you've recruited into the club through the academy and the junior programs that you've run. So let's start at the beginning. You played cricket at Holy Trinity. Correct. Starting in about 1970, 71?
70, 71 was my first full season. 69, 70 I filled in under 16 and a half Sunday schools.
Yeah.
So, 70, 71 was actually playing with Holy Trinity in a Sunday school under 16 and a half, which used to be on a Saturday afternoon.
Yep. You're a bowler, batter, both?
Well, I suppose you'd call me an all-rounder, but, when I started off, I probably batted about number 9, and this particular day in the under 16 and a half, no one wanted to open, so they said, do you want to have a go? I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I opened up, got a few runs, and that was it. From then on, I opened the innings for quite a long period of time, and then into the seniors. But bowled a bit of medium pace, did okay with that, but I was never a world beater, just enjoyed my cricket. Yeah.
And that commenced a lifelong association with Holy Trinity.
Oh, yeah, it has. So this season coming up would be season number 54 with Holy Trinity itself. I had a bit of a time away when I was actually doing a little bit more work with Preston. I was chairman of selectors one year when Kevin Lowe was coaching. So I was away from Holy Trinity for a little period of time, but I might have been away physically, but I was never away, mentally. I was always looking at the scores, always seeing what was happening. And I suppose it's very hard when you've got two clubs that you're passionate about, but I suppose if push come to shove, the blue and white probably just over the red and white when it comes to complete and utter loyalties, I suppose.
Yeah. Talking of loyalties as well, you're also associated with the West Preston Footy Club.
West Preston Lakeside Footy Club.
Lakeside Footy Club, which is actually where I played.
Oh, good, right.
Back in the early 70s.
So was that at Swar Park?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the ground that ran downhill?
Yes, it did.
Right.
Yeah, so it was a bog one hill and dry the other.
Yes, that's exactly right.
But you are still associated with the footy club?
I am. Yeah, I started off there when Matty went to play under 11s up there. So I've been there, what's Matty, 38, so 27 years up there. And, it's like all parents, you just get involved in what your kids are doing. Yeah. When Jess was doing little athletics, I never got on a committee, but I was part of the fundraising committee. And, you just want to be part of, but not only for your own kids, but for all the kids who are up there. You want to make it a good experience. So, I sort of ended up being a team manager, then got onto the committee, and then before you know it, I'm help marking the ground and setting up on Sunday mornings, and, it's sort of, it just steamrolls. Right. So now up there, I'm involved with the women's footy. Okay. About 10 years ago, they wanted to start under 15 girls. Yeah. So with myself and another girl, Abby Galea, and Jodie Owens, we sort of tried to get an under 15s off the ground, which we ended up doing. And it's gone on from there to where we now have 2 senior women's teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So you're a life member at West Preston.
Yes.
You're a life member at Holy Trinity.
Yes.
Which is just the start of it. You mentioned Matthew, your son, who came down to Preston and played 40-odd games in the first from memory.
I really wouldn't know how many games he played.
But was a pretty good player. He played in a final or 2 as well.
He was fortunate the first year he was there, he played in the seconds. Of course, he played with Carpy, which was a great experience for him, because Carpy was a great mentor to him. After a game, they'd sit together, Carpy would go through the game with him, and it was a really good experience for him. Yes. And it helped him in his cricket career. Yeah. So, he was fortunate that he went to Preston at the right time. Preston were quite strong. Yep. First year he was there, all 4 11s made the grand final.
Right.
He played in the seconds, as we said, and he was fortunate enough to come away with a premiership. But that was, on the back of some great bowling. Jace Fairbrother picking up 9 for.
Oh, right, that was that game.
That was that game where they were done and dusted at the first day, and I think Q might have celebrated a little bit too early, and they capitulated the second day on a wicket that was a little bit damp.
Right.
And then the boys just held out, and so he was very fortunate he went there at the right time. And of course, Greg Hobble was there, and as a senior coach, and it was. Yeah, great times.
Yeah. So your daughter Jess married Michael.
That's correct.
Hayes, the current president of the club.
That's it.
Michael played close to 250 games with the club, and is still going pretty strong.
He's doing a great job as president too.
He is
doing a very good job.
Yes, fantastic. So your association with the club, Preston, goes back a long time. Back to do you remember what year?
I think it was probably 97.
Right.
I can't remember, 96, 97.
Yeah.
It would have been, 84. No, probably a little bit later, maybe 97, 98.
Yeah.
When Matt played in the then Hatch.
Yeah.
Darren Oliver was looking after that, and then Rats was coaching it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and that was a good experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So bringing Matt down, of course, then you start to get involved in the club. And that has become a lifelong association. So what roles have you actually played with the club?
Well, on the committee side of things, I've never really been on the committee as such.
Yeah.
But I've always tried to help out where I can.
Yeah.
I can't remember who. Dick was probably president when we arrived, and then we had Robbo, and then we had Tony Marnie, and of course then we had Gus, and now Michael. So there's been quite a few presidents in the time. But I've always tried to help more so in the junior side of things because it become a passion. Yeah. Back at Holy Trinity, we had no juniors at one stage. We had juniors and then they petered out. And then I always had knee problems, so my cricket career was sort of cut a little bit short. I had a cartilage removed and the knee never really recovered fully. So then I decided, well, I'll have a crack at this junior caper. So I did that for about 11 years at Holy Trinity, and I really enjoyed the fact that we were able to bring boys on and girls. So it was a natural progression. When the Hatch needed assistance, I thought, I'll get involved here. So I've been involved with the Hatch probably, it's about 23 years.
Wow.
Continuously. Either coaching it, team managing it, helping get trials underway, selection. And it's been great because there's been a lot of local boys who have then come in, played Hatch, and as it's now, as Craig now, and they've gone on and they've made, names for themselves in Premier Cricket. And we've even had guys like Xavier Crone who came down from, the country region and is now playing for Victoria. So it's been really good to see the development, but not only that, to see the development of the kids just on the local parks.
Yes, yeah.
And now we've got the girls coming through. So we've got the girls' pathways in the same way that Holy Trinity, for example, have 2 junior girls teams. And, to see the improvement that's coming in junior girls cricket as well, and the clubs who are picking it up and running with it. So there's real opportunities for kids, and someone has to drive it. And to be honest, we're running out of volunteers.
Yes.
People at my age, there are people younger coming through, but we need more.
Yes.
We need more people getting involved, and even people in the 1860 club, for example, can be great role models to some of these young people and help mentor them because they've had great cricket careers themselves. And they know how to speak to kids. Some of them have got grandchildren or, honestly, and it'd be great to see some of them come along and maybe do a bit of team managing, come around and watch a few of the training sessions and and get the feel of what the club's doing now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would have seen over the years hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of boys come through that sort of program, and a considerable number have gone on to Preston as well. Yep. So it's an important recruiting ground for us. Always has been the Hatch, but it's even more important.
Now. I think it's more important now because of the fact that there's been a decline in junior cricket out on the parks. You know, as JICA, I was actually chairman of JICA's juniors for about 7 years, and we were able to build it up with the help of a great committee. They're fantastic people. One of them was Lorraine Ireland, and there was a chap from Embry, Yin To, Tony Marnie, who became president of Preston. He was at Old Paradians at that particular point in time. Damien Mills from Cameron, Staff from Preston YCW, David Stafford. And we built it up from something like 50 teams to 102 at one stage. We developed under 11s. We had this idea to develop it, and people said, "You're mad, it won't work." And so we had a come and try day, and we had 2 kids turn up. So, you know, you can turn around and say, "Okay, it's not going to work," or you just think, "Well, we had 2.
There's a start."
There's a start. When we actually finished as a committee, we had 22 teams.
Wow.
Of under 11s.
Gee whiz.
You know, and Bam Bam and Matthew actually coached a team from Holy Trinity at one stage.
Yeah.
So, you know, you were getting blokes who were playing, coming down and coaching, and there are other boys who were, you know, high profile players in their local clubs were actually looking after the under 11s and having a ball.
Yeah.
You know, and it was modified. You know, they bat in pairs and everyone got to bowl, and then you rotate the field around. So the kids were learning, you know, different fielding positions, learning to value the wicket because you lost 5 runs if you lost a wicket. So it wasn't just let's get out there and smash away like we do in the have a go, you know, or it's the blast now, I think it's called.
Yeah, this is the old Milo cricket.
This is the old Milo cricket. And that's another thing that I think was really good. I started my term as chairman of the juniors when David Hall was appointed as a regional manager for the North Metro area, and he was very big to start Milo cricket. So we actually went from no centres running within JICA to having 11 or 12, and at one stage having over 20 centres running.
Wow.
And then Preston became involved a little bit more heavily, and we ended up on Swale Park, and we had over 100 kids involved. It was almost like an Auskick centre. Yes. It was just amazing. They were coming from everywhere. But unfortunately, Cricket Victoria, in their wisdom, changed systems, changed up a few things, and the regional managers weren't quite as involved with the clubs as what David was at the start. And even that started to dwindle down. Yes. It has. It's dwindled right down. So it's a shame.
It is.
It's a shame.
Yeah, well, cricket has a lot of competition these days.
Of course it does. Basketball. My granddaughter plays basketball. So you head up to Diamond Valley there in Greensboro, the centre. You can't get a car park in a 300-car car park because there's just so many kids. And you go down into the, you know, there's 8 courts. Yeah. There are kids everywhere. Yes. People everywhere. Yes. But, you know, mum and dad can go in there, within an hour they're out. Yep. And they're off enjoying their Saturday. Yes. You know, so I think one thing that was good was that junior cricket was now being played on Friday nights. Yes. So the kids are out there, and then the whole weekend is available to mum and dad. So we are getting a few more people come in. Yes. But in the local comp, I believe there's only 4 under 16 teams this year, which is it's a worrying sign. But we have to start building again at the bottom. Yes, we must start building, and the clubs must start to realise that without them, they're the lifeblood. That's right. And if you don't, that critical mass, don't you? You have to have that, and you're going to have a drop-off rate. There are going to be boys and girls who don't enjoy it or come down for one season, but there are going to be boys and girls who want to continue on. Yes. So you have to make a place for them. Otherwise, they're lost. Yeah. They're lost to the sport, and then they're off to play basketball or netball or whatever other sport. And look, as long as kids are playing sport, it doesn't really matter what they're playing. Yeah. As long as they're out being active and not sitting inside just on iPads and that sort of thing, but getting some fresh air. That's right. But of course, we'd rather see them in cricket. Exactly. Of course we would.